Good evening. I'd like to call to order the April 14th, 2021 regular school committee meeting at 5:35 p.m. I'd also like to apologize for our late start. We were having some technical difficulties. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategies with respect to bargaining with employee groups and/or personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
Keith, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to move into executive session. Members, how do you vote? Mr. Stadman?
Aye.
Mrs. Demos?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian?
Aye.
And Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We will reconvene our regularly scheduled meeting at 6 p.m. Thank you. Mr. Malone, are you ready?
I am ready, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Jason, would you care to let Mr. Malone know when you're ready, please?
You're all set to go.
Thank you. The April 14th, 2021 regular and organizational school committee meetings will be televised and recorded. This is a virtual meeting via WebEx. Due to the recent open meeting law policy set forth by the governor during the current state of emergency, the meeting will be held as a virtual meeting. To participate, call in at 781-565-8134 and view live through televised cable channels Comcast Channel 22 and Verizon Channel 34 or youtube.com/Tewksbury TV. As a preliminary matter, this is Chris Malone, Superintendent of Schools. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me and give consent to be recorded. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mr. John Stadman,
Aye.
Ms. Shannon Demos,
Aye.
Ms. Bridget Garabedian,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholas Parsons,
Aye.
and Mr. Keith Sullivan.
Aye.
And the following staff members, please respond in the affirmative. Ms. Brenda Regan, Assistant Superintendent,
Aye.
and Mr. Dave Libby, Business Manager.
Aye.
And I consent as well as Superintendent. Good evening. This open meeting of the Tewksbury School Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows the public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Again, to participate, please call in to 781-565-8134. For this meeting, the Tewksbury Public Schools is convened by WebEx posted on the town's website, and which again can be identified, and you may join with the live televised cable channels of Channel 22 and 34 in YouTube. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and aired live, and that some of the attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that people may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided from members of this body are available on the district website or by request. Please email Ms. Gail Johnson at gjohnson@tewksbury.k12.ma.us for a copy of the agenda packet. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless noted otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some of the ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. If anyone has a comment or question, it can be submitted in the chat window and will be recognized by the chair. When appropriate, you will be unmuted and asked to speak. For any response, please wait for the chair to yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so with the chair taking care to identify yourself. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members for public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses. Once the chair has a list of public commentators, the chair will call each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. And certainly a big portion of this evening's meeting is a huge welcome to our 2 newest school committee members. Congratulations to Ms. Bridget Garabedian on her election to the school committee. And congratulations to Mr. Nicholas Parsons for his election to the school committee. We look forward to working with Mr. Parsons and Ms. Garabedian during their tenure on the school committee. So congratulations and welcome. At this time, I will entertain nominations for the position of chairperson of the Tewksbury School Committee.
Mr. Superintendent, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Keith Sullivan to chairperson.
The name of Mr. Keith Sullivan has been placed in nomination. Is there a second? Not hearing a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if we're having some muting issues. That might be part of the issue going on. And
I did actually, yeah.
Okay, so I have Keith Sullivan's name has been placed in nomination. There has been a second. Are there any other nominations for the petition of chairperson? Again, I'm just a little bit concerned that there might have been a mute issue, so I just want to make sure that there's no one else. Okay. The motion has been moved and seconded. This requires a roll call vote.
Mr. Malone,
Yes.
just a point of order, sir. I'm sorry, my apologies. I think we need a motion first to close nominations before we move on. For chair and then the vote.
Then I'll entertain a nomination for the chairperson to be closed.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stabman, seconded by Mr. Sullivan. So moved. This will require a roll call vote. Ms. Shannon Demos.
Aye.
Ms. Bridget Garabedian.
Aye.
Mr. Nicholas Parsons.
Aye.
Mr. John Stabman.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Sullivan.
Yes, I graciously accept the role of chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations, Mr. Chairman. And
Thank
at this
you.
time, I will turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. And once again, thank you to my colleagues for your trust. Wholeheartedly looking forward to our new board members. I'd like to personally welcome Ms. Bridget Garabedian, and I'd also like to welcome Mr. Nick Parsons. This is great and important work that we do here, and we certainly look forward to continuing the ongoing work of improving our school district by improving not only achievement, but outcomes for all our students at this time. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank on behalf of not only this committee and this administration, but the very many past administrations and school committee members that served with our outgoing member, Mr. Jamie Cutlass, who has worked for over 2 decades towards real improvement in our school district that, quite honestly, looking around just on this call, I know all of our children and some of our members have benefited from. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge his dedication and his hard work over the years before we proceed forward. And enough thanks will never be enough to really pay it forward to Mr. Cutlass. So with that, at this time, I would like to entertain a nomination for the vice chair of the Tewksbury School Committee. And I think I would like to nominate Ms. Shannon Demos. Mrs. Demos, do you accept?
I do.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a nomination and a second to nominate Mrs. Shannon Demos as the vice chair. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair at this time? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to close nominations for the vice chair of Tewksbury School Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and I'll second that. To close nominations for vice chair for Ms. Shannon Demos. Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Mrs. Demos, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I think it's been a long-standing practice that our top vote getter normally serves in the clerk capacity. At this time, I'll entertain some nominations for the position of clerk.
I'd like to nominate Bridget Garabedian.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to nominate Miss Bridget Garabedian for clerk. Do I have any other nominations? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to close nominations for the clerk. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Second that motion.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second to close nominations and to actually vote on the nomination. Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Congratulations, Mrs. Garabedian, on your appointment to clerk.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, seeing we have no other official business, I think till 6:30.
Yes, 6:30, Chair.
Is there anything our new members might want to add, messaging out to the public at this time before we take a break prior to reconvening at 6:30? And I'll start with our clerk, Mrs. Garabedian.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have anything that you would like to say to
Nothing
the
to add.
public
Nothing to
before
add.
we go to break?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Parsons?
Just a thank you to the residents of Tewksbury and nothing else.
Thank you both. We will take what appears to be about a 15-minute break and reconvene for our official business at 6:30. Thank you. Okay, Jason, you want to let me know when you're ready, sir?
Yep, we're all set. I'm just going to send up a couple email reminders just in case anyone didn't get it yet.
Okay, but we are ready to go?
You can go. Yep.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to reconvene our regular school committee meeting at 6:31 p.m. for our official business. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Chris Malone for our recognitions this evening, our superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very much appreciated. Tonight's a great night for us. We get to work with one of our great partners in the school district, Tewksbury VFW Post 8164. Mr. Vinny Oliva is here this evening to join with us. And whenever we work with the VFW Post, it really celebrates our students and their work. And we every year have students participate in the Patriot Pen competition and the Voice of Democracy competition. And we're here tonight to honor some of those award winners and join in the Tewksbury VFW Post in honoring them. There are 3 students to be honored. Unfortunately, one of the students was not able to be here tonight. And that's Brooke Bunyan, the grade 10 student from the high school, who won the post-level competition in the Voice of Democracy advanced in the district. She received first place in the district and fourth place in the state level. But we have 2 other 6th grade students that may not be on our meeting call, but I do see Chris in. Okay, I think we have both of them. Great. So Kevin Daigle is a grade 6 student from the Ryan Elementary School. He entered in the Patriot Pen competition and won the post-level competition, advanced to the district, and took 3rd place at the district level. Christopher Rabideau, a 6th grade student at the Ryan Elementary School, won the post-level competition and advanced to the district. He had 1st place at the district level and 6th place at the state level. Once again, these are great examples of our outstanding students here in Tewksbury, but really it's symbolic of our great partnership with the community and certainly the Tewksbury VFW Post. And Mr. Oliva, if maybe you could talk a little bit about those competitions and maybe highlight some of these key elements in these students receiving this recognition.
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Good evening and thank you for having me tonight. I am here tonight on behalf of the Tewksbury VFW Post 8164 and its auxiliary to acknowledge the Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pen winners. The Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pen is a national essay contest that is conducted annually each year during the fall term. Both contests is designed to foster patriotism and to give the student the opportunity to voice their opinion and address their responsibility to our country. The Veterans of Foreign Wars and its auxiliary truly hope that every school in our country will provide the opportunity for its students to take part in this competition. Through classroom study projects and special assignments, students will be motivated while writing and speaking to express their opinion about their personal obligations and better understand the rights and responsibilities of being an American. The Voice of Democracy audio essay competition is to give 9th to 12th grade high school students the opportunity to voice their opinion on their responsibilities to our country. Patriot Pen essay competition is to give 6th to 8th grade students the opportunity to write an essay on the annual patriotic theme to express their views on democracy. Tewksbury has done well over the years, placing 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place throughout the 17 districts in the state in both Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pen. This year is no different. Tewksbury placed 1st and 3rd in the Patriot Pen essay contest and 1st place in the Voice of Democracy audio essay competition. At this time, I'd like to recognize our 1st place Patriot student from the John Ryan School, Christopher Rabideau. Christopher will receive a certificate and a $75 check from Tewksbury Post 8164 and its auxiliary, and a check for $100 from the district. He continued on to state competition and placed sixth. Unfortunately, sixth place receives no money. Congratulations to Christopher. Our third place winner, also from the John Ryan School, is Kevin Daigle. Kevin will receive also a certificate and a $25 check from the Tewksbury Post 8164 and its auxiliary, and a check for $50 from District 15. Congratulations, Kevin. Our first place Voice of Democracy winner from the Tewksbury Memorial High School is Brooke Bunyan. Unfortunately, she cannot be here tonight, but she will receive a certificate for $100, check from the Post 8164 and its auxiliary, and a $150 check from District 15. Brooke also advanced to the state competition, where she placed fourth overall and received a $1,400 check. Let me tell you a little story about Brooke. I have watched Brooke grow since sixth grade, when she wrote a Patriot Pen essay and won first place that first year I met her. The following year, I saw her name again, and again, she placed first. It got to a point where I said to her, "I'll see you next year." Sure enough, she was there. Now she has grown to be a beautiful young lady with a bright future. Brooke, we all at the VFW are very proud of you, just as much as your parents are as well. Congratulations. We can all be proud of the teachers in the Tewksbury school system for the education and development of our young students. It would be amiss of me if I did not share with you the vital role Mrs. Kathleen Anderson has played in the success of the VFW Patriot Pen Essay Contest. I met Mrs. Anderson about 5 years ago, and I explained to her at the time what the VFW Patriot Pen was all about. From there, she took control, and before you know it, I had 265 entries, pick up and judge within a 3-week deadline. Every year since, she has been instrumental in sending me over 250 entries. This year, because of the pandemic, Mrs. Anderson was apologizing to me because she can only muster up 44 entries. To me, that was a blessing. Only kidding. Me and my staff look forward every year to reading and judging all the essays. To us, it's an honor and pleasure. In closing, I'd like to thank Mrs. Anderson for all her hard work, and I'd like to acknowledge her with a certificate of recognition. And her certificate reads, National Citizenship Education Teacher Post Recognition Award, presented to Kathleen Anderson, in recognition for promoting citizenship education in your classroom and school. Again, Mrs. Anderson, I thank you. I thank you very much. I believe that is all I have. So again, thank you for having me. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Henny.
Mr. Chairman, we have the Daigle family and Chris Rabideau on, I believe he's on a cell phone. I'm not sure if he has family members with him as well, but they are also on the call as well.
Okay, I just wanted to extend my heartfelt thank you to the VFW, obviously to Mrs. Anderson. This is a tremendous program, having you guys in. I think this is the 4th year or so that I've seen you. I think it's a wonderful program, especially with everything that's going on in our society today. I think it's a great, really a great program. Can't thank you guys enough over there at the VFW, and these are certainly some wonderful winners. If you would like to get that certificate over, we could certainly get that to Mrs. Anderson, who's more than deserving. And Vinny, we certainly look forward to having you hopefully in person next year.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Malone, do we have a recognition that maybe we'll have our new clerk, Mrs. Garabedian, read? Mrs. Garabedian, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And I would also just like to add congratulations to our students and thank you to Mrs. Anderson. Thank you for being here tonight. A resolution of recognition, whereas Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 8164 sponsored the 2020 to 2021 Patriot Pen Essay Competition, grades 6th through 8th, and the Voice of Democracy Scholarship Competition, grades 9th through 12th. And whereas Kevin Daigle and Christopher Rabideau, 6th grade students at the John Ryan Elementary School, submitted their Patriot Pen essay on What is Patriotism to Me to the Tewksbury VFW Post 8164. And whereas Kevin won the post-level competition and advanced to the district level, placing 3rd. And whereas Christopher won the post-level competition, advanced to the district level, taking 1st place, and finished 6th in the state level competition. And whereas Brooke Bunyan, 10th grade student at Tewksbury Memorial High School, submitted her audio essay on Is This the Country the Founders Envisioned to the Tewksbury VFW Post 8164. Brooke won the post-level competition, advanced to the district level, taking 1st place, and finished 4th in the state level competition. And whereas Kevin, Christopher, and Brooke have brought great pride, recognition, and honor to themselves, their families, the Tewksbury Public Schools, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the exceptional performance of Kevin Daigle, Christopher Rabideau, and Brooke Bunyan, submitted by Shannon Deanmos, Bridget Garabedian, Nicholas Parsons, John Stadman, Keith Sullivan, dated this 14th day of April 2021.
Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian, and once again, congratulations to Kevin, Christopher, and Brooke on your wonderful accomplishment. And thank you, Mr. Malone. With that, do we have our student representative, Mr. Jack Stadman, available? Jack, are you ready to go?
Ready to
Good
go.
to see you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be back. A quick congratulations to our Tech Estates team for their hard work during Massachusetts State Finals. Unfortunately, none of us made it, but we did put in a lot of work this year, so congratulations to them. The TMHS esports team is still up and running. They have still been placing high within other schools in New England in games such as Rocket League and FIFA. If you do wish to join, see the morning update for more details. The TMHS Drama Club is working on their latest production of Charlie Brown. This will air virtually in the coming month. Mr. Bernard is hosting a school orientation meeting for all students coming back into the school that have not been in the school. If you wish to attend, come to the school at 2:15 tomorrow to learn about the new traffic patterns and stairway procedures if you don't already know. Check your school email for more details. The Student Council is still holding their weekly meetings to discuss new virtual activities for the school. And as always, the morning update is still broadcasting. You can tune in every morning on YouTube. That's all I have for you tonight.
Great. Thank you this evening, Mr. Stadman. Nice to see you again.
You as well.
All right, at this time, I'm going to check in with Jason Marshall to see if we have any callers for Citizens Forum.
No calls, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, check back in a few minutes. I'm gonna move on to the approval of our minutes. I'm gonna call on our former clerk, Mrs. Demos, to approve the minutes for March. Mrs. Demos?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 3rd, 2021, special meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the March 3rd, 2021 special meeting minutes. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
I'll abstain from the vote.
Thank you. Mr. Parsons?
I will abstain from the vote.
Okay, and the chair votes aye as well. The meeting minutes of March 3rd are passed. And the March 10th minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 10th, 2021, regular school committee minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the March 10th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Mrs. Garabedian
I will abstain.
and Mr. Parsons.
I will abstain.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to check in again with Jason to see if we have anyone.
Still no calls, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to our new clerk, Mrs. Garabedian, for our submission and payment of bills, please.
Okay, I move the submission and payment of bills for payroll ending period March 18th, 2021 in the amount of $1,376,916.60 to be approved and certified.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the payroll period ending March 18th, 2021 in the amount of $1,376,916.60. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
And I move the submission and payment of bills for payroll ending period April 1st, 2021 in the amount of $1,382,275.40 to be approved and certified.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the payroll period ending April 1st, 2021 in the amount of $1,382,275.40. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian. I'd like to turn it over now to our superintendent for his superintendent report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd first like to open up with a thought of well wishes and positivity for Ms. Brianna McCarthy, who's a teacher in the Methuen Public Schools, but she is also the assistant hockey coach of the Tewksbury Methuen Red Ranger hockey team. And unfortunately, she has been ill. And she's had quite an impact on some of our student athletes at the high school. Ms. McCarthy is currently being treated at a Boston hospital for a very sudden, unknown illness that has caused severe brain swelling. The McCarthy family is asking for thoughts and prayers for her recovery. And I think as a community here in Tewksbury, we should join in that thoughtfulness and wishing her all the best and a hopeful recovery, but our thoughts and prayers being with her as well. Just as some updates within the district, we continued on with pool testing. I'll have a more in-depth update on pool testing as part of my more in-person update later on in the agenda. But we did have our first positive pool case that took place in the district. We did message out to parents that there was a positive pool case. It went exactly as designed. There were approximately 10 individuals in the pool. They were brought in the next morning. We utilized Binex Now rapid testing to determine who the individual was that was positive. Once we did that, the other 9 individuals were allowed to go back to class. And then the individual that was identified as positive followed the protocols as described by the school nurse. So it does show that that process does work. I think we can expect in this current situation that we're in, we're going to get more positive pools, and we'll have to continue on with this process. But again, it's one of the tiered mitigation strategies that we're implementing in the district. Another piece, and again, I'll go over a little bit more in depth later, but just implore all parents, students, and staff members to adhere to the travel advisory issued by the state of Massachusetts. We have April vacation coming up next week. It's certainly inviting to get away during this time, but we ask that people please follow the travel advisory, test, isolate. Please don't come to work or come to school if you're not feeling well, if you're symptomatic. We want to make sure that when everyone comes back from April vacation, that we can maintain some of the success and the mitigation strategies we've had in schools all along. Last Friday, we had a water leak at Tewksbury Memorial High School in the boiler room. The main water line coming into the boiler room had a cast iron plug that rotted through, that resulted in the boiler room being flooded. And us, to necessitate the repair, we had to shut off the water to the school. Therefore, Tewksbury Memorial High School was remote on Friday. Rather short notice, but great work by the custodians and the district maintenance team and the high school staff to respond to that on short notice, put together remote synchronous lessons very quickly. And we're very thankful of that. That has been fully repaired, and we've looked at all other aspects that look similar to that and replaced those regardless. So hopefully that will not arise again. We continue to work with AlphaBest in before and after school programming. They again will start up with after school programming right after vacation at our K through 6 schools. They've been working with the principals to set up spaces, look at things. They've already been doing before school programming. Now they will be doing before school and after school programming. They will be vacating the Greater Lowell Assembly of God location that they've been utilizing. And in addition to that, they are very actively planning for summer AlphaBest services to be provided to the district. And we have a bit more planning to do with that, but it is hopeful that we will have those services available, and that hopeful that AlphaBest will be messaging out to families by May about summer programming. In addition, our preschool, community services preschool at the Heathbrook School began with all cohorts joining in one, similar to our K-6 schools, starting this past Monday. We've had great success with that. We'll continue to monitor that and see if we can increase opportunities even further beyond what we've started on Monday. We continue to look at how we can assist vaccinating staff. 3 weeks ago, we were able to get an initial vaccination into 70 of our staff members in one day through the town. They all received their second shot today. So it's a good effort. A lot of the information we're hearing from the teachers and from the union is that we have a high rate of vaccination amongst teachers, but we're still working to make sure that we have everyone vaccinated that's eligible. Congratulations through Dr. Basteri. We've been able to secure an ASOS, which is after school and out of school time competitive grant at the state level. It's a 2-year grant for $70,000 a year for a total of $140,000 a year. And that's going to support free after school and summer programming at the Heathbrook. It's going to expand the free existing school academic support program at the Wynn Middle School for 7th graders. Establish a free after-school credit recovery program at Tewksbury Memorial High School, and free summer school credit recovery for high school students in addition to that, and free summer school opportunities at the Wynn School so that students may be promoted to the next grade. So writing those grants, winning those grants in a competitive atmosphere, and achieving that should be great outcomes for our students. So we're very proud of that. Just a reminder, some of the newer guidance that's come out in relation to special education. Extended year services, known as summer school, has been approved for in-person at the state level. Districts will not only have to provide in-person extended year services, but also provide a remote option for that. Mr. Pelletier is working hard to schedule those pieces and hire for those aspects. So we will be moving forward with those extended year services, which we were not able to have last year in person. So that's great. Just a reminder, the Day on the Hill is Friday, April 16th, 9 to noon. It is a virtual Day on the Hill that had typically been a traditional piece where at times members of the school committee and high school students went into the State House together. And it's a great experience. It will be done virtually. Mr. Bernard has some students from the high school participating on Friday, but we're really looking forward to that opportunity. Ms. Regan will be doing an update on Mcas testing. Just wanted the committee to be aware that as part of the Superintendent's Association, I have sent a letter to our congressional delegation and senatorial delegation in regards to Mcas, asking them to work with the federal government to lift the requirement for testing for this year due to the pandemic. As you know, as far as Mcas testing goes, that if that were to change, that has to start at the federal level. So we have gone ahead and petitioned our delegates to make sure that they can advocate for that. However, and Ms. Regan will go over the schedule and look at those pieces, it does look like Mcas will be moving forward. And just a final reminder around our facilities that the town use of the ball fields located at our schools has begun for practices in games shortly. So that will increase some of the activity at our school sites. So we can certainly anticipate that piece going forward. Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if there are any questions on any of those pieces that I brought forward.
Yeah, before we do that, Mr. Malone, we did get a caller, so I'm going to check in with Jason.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we do have a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
Good evening.
Board members. My name is Richard Lavasser, 25 Anthony Road. Just want to go back to way at the beginning of your meeting where you were announcing the award winners for the essays.
Yep.
Can those be posted anywhere? I would love to read them.
Sure. We certainly could do that. That's a wonderful idea.
You
Mr.
could
Malone,
post them on the school website or something. That'd be great. I'd love to read them.
sure, I would as well. Let me check with Mr. Malone. There may or may not be, I'm not sure, a consent issue with the parents, but I'll certainly
I think it's going to initiate with the VFW. So, Vinny, I know if that's something we can work through you on to maybe see if we can work through the parents since that originated through the VFW and find a way, because the caller has a great point. I mean, these are great artifacts of student work. So if there's an opportunity to do that, we'd love to.
Yeah, I can check that out when I deliver these certificates and the checks to the parents and get their permission. And hopefully we can get it. It is a good idea.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in, Rich. And now I'm going to check in with my colleagues, starting with the vice chair. Mrs. Demos, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Malone?
Mr. Malone, I just have a clarifying question. You may have said it and I didn't hear it. With the Day on the Hill this year, were we taking students with Mr. Bernard virtually? I mean, were they attending? Were there students coming?
Mr. Bernard has a plan, and I know he had put it out to students. I'm not sure who he has obtained or what that will look like, but it is a virtual meeting. Yes.
Yeah, and they will be.
It's 9 to 12, right?
I know that it really made an impact on the kids in the past, and I know virtual isn't the same, but I do think that if we could afford them that opportunity, I think they would really, and it would go over well. But that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Demos. Mrs. Garabedian?
Nothing major. I just would like to thank Dr. Bastieri for, obtaining that grant. It sounds like that's going to be a great opportunity for our students this summer to get some of the extra help that they need. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian. Mr. Stadman?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Parsons?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Just one question or comment, Mr. Malone, Alphabest. Are we going to be assured that everyone that, wants to sign up is going to be able to get in to sign up either prior or after? I know we had an issue once that we got corrected, and I just want to make sure that we're staying on top of that for our families that are going to need those services over the summer.
They are in the hiring process as we speak. I think they've got some initial interest that they're hearing about that gives them confidence. And they have to hire staff in relation to what they're going to have for people coming in. So if the confidence there and people can make a decision for the summer early enough, I think we'll have a good opportunity here to make sure they have a high quality summer program.
Great, thank you. And it sounds like we'll have some additional funding as well. So that's fantastic. With that, I'd like to yield the floor to our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Regan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your consent agenda, I want to draw your attention to new DESE supplemental guidance for student groups and school events for this school year, 2021. So this pertains to the remainder of this school year. This guidance was revised on April 1st, 2021. Quite a bit of information and some very strong recommendations are embedded in this guidance that our principals are using in their potential planning for end of year activities. This guidance specifically speaks to student activities before and after school, non-athletic student groups, non-athletic inter-school competitions, volunteering, prom, gatherings with outside participants, and leaving school grounds. I just want to point out some of the very bold, important statements that are within the guidance, and that is whenever feasible and to the maximum extent possible, meetings and events should be held virtually. I'm going to skip over the prom for a minute and just talk a little bit about volunteering. Again, strong recommendation that we look for virtual volunteering and not require person-to-person interaction as possible. When we're looking at gatherings of 10 or more that include outside participants, again, whenever feasible to the maximum extent, we're advised to have virtual events. In-person gatherings should be discouraged and must abide by strong safety requirements. Only essential student-centered events should be held in person, again, following the strict guidelines, including but not limited to, obviously, holding events outdoors, mask wearing, social distancing, and certainly abiding by the indoor and outdoor gathering sizes. Leaving the school grounds, or field trips, if you will, are discouraged as well, and we're strongly encouraged to consider virtual alternatives. I want to go backwards in the document and go to the section marked prom. And I know there was a collective sigh of disappointment across the state when this guidance came out, as districts sought to potentially think about a prom, even with the gathering rules that we had to follow. Principal Bernard sent a letter out to senior families, regretfully informing them that their planning moving forward on the prom was not going to happen. And the language is quite strong that says that the prom is inherently a high-risk activity. So Principal Bernard felt it important to abide by that strong recommendation. I do want to remind the committee, at the last meeting, Principal Bernard was with us and gave us a litany of events and activities that are being planned for the senior class, including their, and I just say this because I know people are watching, and right now those events are still being planned, and that is including their senior social at the Stevens Estate at Osgood Hill in North Andover, the class summer fun and American barbecue at Kimball Farm. Again, these are both outdoor events. And their outdoor movie night, and then the continued planning and discussion of our outdoor graduation. But I do want to remind families that all events scheduled and that are being planned, not only at the high school, but throughout the district, are subject to modification, including cancellation, given the local, state, and federal guidelines mandated in response to COVID-19 pandemic. So for now, those senior families, please make sure you filled out the senior survey so that the high school knows how many students are planning if these events move forward. Next, I just want to remind families and people that are watching that this Friday is an early release day. We remind parents they can check the district calendar if they need to be reminded of the end time for all in-person and remote students. This is an early release day for both staff and students. And again, the back of the district calendar, the legend has those end times at all schools. next week, and Superintendent Malone had already talked about this a little bit, is April vacation, April 19th through April 23rd. With the exception of some athletic practices and an event, our schools will be closed. And Alpha Best, as Superintendent Malone talked about, will be moving out of the Lowell Assembly of God and moving into our schools, and will not be hosting an April vacation childcare. The Monday after school vacation, April 26th, is a Cohort A hybrid day for Wynn High School students only. Tuesday, April 27th, is a Cohort B hybrid day for our Wynn High School students only. Our K through 6 students, as you know, are all back in person for the full day. On Wednesday, April 28th, this is our first all-in full school day for both the Wynn and the high school. Once again, these dates can be found on our district calendar, and those cohort days are listed as well. In your consent agenda, you see the enrollment as of April 5th, 2021, and this was the first day of our full in-person all day for grades K through 6. Superintendent Malone will talk about the more in-person learning experience in greater detail later in the agenda, but I did just want to give you an update on our remote learning academy numbers as it applies to that enrollment. Our K through 6 students coming back to all in learning. Let me just give you the prior to April 5th, we had approximately 350 kindergarten through grade 6 full remote learners. Currently, we have, as you can see, 233 kindergarten through grade 6 remote learners. That's a net gain. Now, there was a little movement each way, but that is a net gain of 117 kindergarten through grade 6 students coming back to all-in learning. I can tell you they were welcomed and brought in and included into our in-person classrooms. And within a couple of days, these students looked as if they'd been part of the in-person learning all year. Okay, and in your packet is a save the date poster for our 37th annual District Fine Arts exhibition. This is a wonderful event, widely attended. This will be the second year we are doing this event virtually. The premiere live will be at 7 p.m. on May 7th on our youtube.com Tewksbury TV channel and our local cable channels. So we've sent this flyer out to all parents and students, and also with the information that parents who have students in the virtual art show will be informed of their child's participation in that event the week after vacation. And then finally, it's great to see that people are tuning in. Substitutes in our school district are greatly needed. We have a perpetual posting both online on our district website and through School Spring, and we have sent out reminders. People who are available, who are interested in substitute teaching as a teacher, as an aide, or now that we've lost our #1 substitute school nurse, we're also looking for licensed nurses, and that is Mrs. Garabedian, which is why I'm saying that now that she's sitting on the committee, she no longer can work for us in that capacity. But we are looking as well for licensed nurses who may want to substitute day to day. So again, on our district website is the posting and the application. Anyone needing further assistance is welcome to call the central office for help. That concludes my update, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Regan. And we'll start with Mrs. Demos. Any questions or comments?
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Ms. Regan, thank you for the report. It's always in depth and specific. I do have some questions in regards to the enrollment numbers. You know, that always piques my interest. After our walkthroughs through the buildings I had with Mrs. McGinnis, Mr. Hardy, it was discussed through the walkthroughs at the Trahan with those solarium rooms at the end of the hallway there, that they were pretty tight. We were thinking like 18 to 20 tops. I see some numbers that are right at 20, and I see some that are topping at 21. I'd like to just maybe get a summary, a report back from the principals regarding how this transition to all in person went and the impacts, or maybe the glows and the grows, or what challenges they're facing. And if we need to have a plan in place as far as, new students moving in, where some classrooms across the district have lower numbers, do we need to talk about maybe capping these classrooms and having a policy in place for students that move into the district? It concerns me, having been in those classrooms, and really it's down to the bare walls of furniture with these numbers in there, and making sure that we're having effective instruction in place. So I would just really like to kind of hear back from, looking at these numbers and having walked through those rooms, what it's actually looking like on a day-to-day basis. And I would appreciate that information.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Demos?
That's it for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And Mrs. Garabedian, our clerk?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Staff.
Just the one thing on the consent agenda, just a huge thank you to Ocean State Job Lot on their generous donation of $24,000 for the hand sanitizer, disinfecting wipes, face shields, and everything else that they donated to the school district. Big shout out to them. So,
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Stadman. And Mr. Parsons?
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And my only comment, I'm very happy to hear that we have 117 students that came back from the remote learning, going in an all in person, and I hope we see a similar structure with our 7th and 8th grade and our high schoolers. And I hope we're all able to continue to transition back and provide a wonderful and safe environment for all of those kids. So thank you, Mrs. Regan. Mr. Libby, do I need to go to you, or are you just speaking with regards to the budget this evening, sir?
I just had a little, I was going to expand a little bit on the Ocean State Job Lots donation that we got. Mr. Stadman stole my thunder a little bit. But no, just to put some numbers to it, we got over 6,000 bottles of hand sanitizer as part of this donation, about 2,500 packs of hand sanitizing wipes that we'll use in our probably in our cafeteria areas across the district, and 240 face shields. So we've added that to our PPE inventory. We know we can never have enough of that on hand as needs arise. So thank you very much to Ocean State Job Lots, our local Tewksbury store, and Mr. Mark Perlman, the principal owner and CEO. That was it.
Great, thank you, Mr. Libby. And Mr. Malone or Mrs. Regan, could we maybe have them in at a future meeting so we can personally thank them for their wonderful donation to the school district?
We will do that, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to this evening's consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding tonight's consent agenda?
make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. How say you, Mrs. Demos?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much. Moving on to our committee reports. Mrs. Demos, the Elementary School Building Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Elementary School Building Committee continues to meet regularly. One of the subjects on hand currently is we have been delegated the task as a school committee to start discussing the elementary school name and the field house and the field, in that they're working as a team with the athletic team. the word's escaping me, sorry. That committee is working on that name, and we will be reporting back to the community once we have met to discuss any further information.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Demos. And the Tewksbury CPAC, that's usually Mr. Wilson, who's no longer with us. We will have a new liaison to the CPAC, so we'll have an update regarding the CPAC at the next meeting. The Wellness Advisory Committee is Mr. Stadman.
We've had no meetings to date, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And I would just like to add to the general public, as a matter of our work moving forward, we do have some vacancies on some boards here that obviously we need to fill. So I will reach out to my colleagues and let them know where vacancies are and see what people might be interested in doing, both as subcommittees and in roles in supporting the schools. And as soon as we get that information available, we will get that out to the general public. With that, I don't believe we have any policy changes this evening. So we're going to move on to old business. And I'm going to turn the floor over to our money man, Mr. David Libby, for our FY22 budget review, analysis, and approval.
Great. I'm going to share my screen if I can here. So our budget's been presented 3 times previously, January, February, and March at workshops and hearings, sort of a more in-depth look. So generally, at this meeting, we just kind of do an overview of where we're at with the town. And the action that the school committee will take tonight is school committee's approval to advance our budget to town meeting floor, which is held on May 3rd. And at the town meeting, the voters of Tewksbury may vote to approve the town's FY22 budget with the school budget included. So we're kind of wrapped into the whole process that happens at town meeting as part of the, that's how our most of our budget gets funded in the school department. So the 3 main areas of our budget that we control are salaries, operating, and capital outlay. Our salary increase we're requesting is a 3% overall salary increase. For our operating accounts, we're looking for a 1.85% increase, and we're planning to level fund our capital outlay budget. Salaries represent 70% of our budget. Most of our money is in salaries and personnel as an educational facility. Operating accounts are 28% of our budget, and capital outlay is just 2% of our budget. The fourth area of our budget down here, the fixed costs are kind of shared and controlled with the town. And those are actually decreasing. So at the end of the day, our total budget increase request is 1.33% at $69,659,544, which is in line with the town manager's recommendation at this time. So as with all things right now, the pandemic has made this budget a challenging one due to the many uncertainties and operational challenges we faced. However, we feel with the grant funding made available to us at the federal and state level, we're in a good position to handle those uncertainties as we move into next year as well. In general, the goal was to produce a budget at a level service level from a staffing and operational point of view. This budget includes a funding for a major roof coating project for the Ryan School, which has been needed for a few years. We've got some leaking going on as that roof approaches the end of its life, and continued replacement plan for our tech devices and equipment across the district, which are very vital pieces of equipment in today's educational world. We are faced with a reduction in our Title I monies for FY22, about $130,000 less in grant money versus FY20. That's based on some it's actually based on FY18 children's poverty level in town, which is decreased. So that's sort of a good news, bad news thing, that we're seeing less poverty in town. So unfortunately, our grant levels go down based on that. Budget's been reviewed so far by the finance committee in town and the selectmen as part of our overall town budget. And again, we need to thank the town manager, finance committee, and board of selectmen for their continued support of education in Tewksbury. And also thanks to our other town departments, police, fire, DPW, and town hall, for the cooperative efforts. We've been involved with them, particularly this year. And our line item account level budget is in your packets and available online at the school website. This budget is our final budget year in our 7-school model. The next budget we put together will be FY23, which is, we'll see the opening of our new grade 2 to 4 elementary school and the closing of the North Street and Trahan schools. So this is sort of a milestone budget for us in the school department. So with that, I would turn it back over to the chair for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Libby. We'll start with our vice chair, Mrs. Demos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no new questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian.
No, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to point out, I think that the sheet that was shared is a little bit different than what's in our packet. What's in our packet doesn't have fiscal year 19, but the one on the screen did. But I've seen that same one that was shared other places. And I just want to say that I've taken the time to look back on some of the meetings that were done in the past with the budget review, and I took some time to just reach out to Mr. Libby myself this week to try to get up to speed. So I wanted to say thank you for that. So I have no new questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian. Mrs. Stadman.
Just one quick question for Dave. How are the coatings coming as far as the quotes? How the contract has been?
The bid actually came in less than we had received as our initial quote. About $120,000 less than our initial estimate that we received from a roofing contractor we were dealing with. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was great news. We're planning to kind of forego our typical book replacement program for next year. I talked to Mrs. Regan about maybe letting that slide for a year to get this roof done. But with the results of the bid coming in the way it did, we'll still be able to fund a textbook replacement, maybe to a lesser extent than we normally do. But we do have some textbooks and materials coming with the new school for FY23. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to use that capital outlay money entirely for this building project.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John. Mr. Parsons.
In the same vein as Bridget, just want to thank you, Dave. Other than that, no new questions.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. And Mr. Libby, just maybe as much as you could let the public know regarding the COVID grants. I believe that has been pushed off another fiscal year. So is that correct? All the money that we received this year, we can use this year and or in the next budget cycle. Is that correct?
Yes. We just got news that the ESSER 3 version of the grants will extend out till September of 2024 if we needed it to. So we're in pretty good shape as far as COVID expenses and being able to handle those, even if they do extend into future fiscal years.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Libby. I appreciate the update. At this time, what is the pleasure of the board regarding this year's budget as proposed for FY22 by Mr. Libby?
I'll make a motion to approve this budget of FY22.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the FY22 school budget. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. The budget passes, and thank you very much, as usual, Mr. Libby, for all of your time. And I would just like to extend to Mr. Parsons, Mr. Libby is always available. If you have any information or if you want to go through and see anything specific line item wise. So he's always more than happy to do that with you. And Dave, as always, we appreciate your hard work on behalf of our students in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. With that, we're going to go over to Mrs. Regan for our Mcas update.
Deja vu, right? I think this is the fourth or fifth iteration of this memo. Mr. Chairman, this Mcas update is informational only. No vote will be needed, but there are some very new and highlighted updates I want to share with our families and certainly with the committee. First and foremost, you can see right at the top, this is new. Grades 3 through 8 remote learning students will have a remote test administration option. We don't have the details to that test administration fully yet, as that training will be in April on the 29th, later this month. What we do know is there will not be a remote testing administration option for our high school students. And that is because the high school student is a competency determination. I'll talk about that a little bit further down. High school students in grades 9 and 10 will need to take these tests in person. So regardless of the learning mode, whether they are in-person learners or remote learners, grades 9 and 10, our science, ELA, and math MCAS tests needs to be taken in person and need to be passed for students in order to meet their competency determination for graduation. You'll note I gave you the press release, the Commissioner of Education, Jeff Riley, has made a recommendation to the Board of Education to not require grade 11 high school students to make up the previously missed 10th grade ELA and math MCAS tests. They will still be eligible for competency determination for graduation based on passing all of the other requirements through Tewksbury Memorial High School in those related courses to MCAS. There is an exception to that option, and that is any grade 11 student who seeks eligibility or to receive the Adams or Koplik scholarship will need to take the ELA and math MCAS. So once again, grade 11 class of 2022, once that vote is taken at the board next week, will not be required to take the makeup MCAS test for graduation for competency determination. However, grade 11 students and families watching, if you're interested in the Adams or Koplik scholarship, you will need to take the MCAS testing either this spring or in the fall of next year in your senior year. I do want to thank our principals, our director of IT, Jason Stem, student data, and the assistant to the principal for test administration at the high school, Ms. Terabasi, and all of the district leadership team, because they pivot really fast. When we get this new information, we move, we reset dates, and we've really stretched that runway out as long as we can to provide the most instruction before our students are testing. So there's a link to this press release for families. Families receive this today. So we're still planning for MCAS to happen, and we'll provide you with more information once we know on that remote testing option.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Regan.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Demos, any questions or comments?
No, Brenda, will the building-based leaders be attending the DESI April 29th?
That entire team that I just
They'll all be.
I listed them all, but we'll all be attending, yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm still in denial that this is actually happening, because the logistics of where you're putting these small groups and, you know, setting up the classroom so that the screens aren't seeing each other in three, you know, there's a lot of logistics here, and but we'll see. We'll plug along, and good luck to all the administration out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Demos. Mrs. Garabedian?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stadman.
No, I don't, like, as Shannon was saying, as Demos was saying, it's going to be a lot of work, but yeah, good luck with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parsons?
Good luck with administration. No questions at this time.
Great, thank you. And Mrs. Regan, I'd just like to add, when they do vote, can we send out an individual reminder regarding the those 2 scholarship opportunities and those? I got a few calls and ran into a few people that were asking about that and wasn't sure exactly how that was going to play out. So I know we sent something out, but I think another reminder is probably a good idea, so everyone's aware. Those are wonderful scholarship opportunities. I'd hate to see someone miss out on that, you know, because they weren't aware. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, we're going to turn it over to our superintendent for an update on the more in-person learning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick update on some elements. Obviously, we're very proud of the work that everyone's doing, staff, administrators, students, parents. To think that we're been back at school in full for a week and a half on K through 6 schools is certainly an amazing feat. I can describe everyone's feeling at this point as everyone is tired. It is a huge uplift to look at that. A big thank you to the reopening task force, who continually looks at the data, both in the schools and across the town. Town of Tewksbury remains in yellow, runs about a 3.66% positivity rate. If you remember, approximately 6 weeks ago, we're up as high as 5 to 6%, approaching 7. We've been down as low as you know, around 2 or even a little bit lower. So we've creeped back up a little bit. Our numbers in the school district, which we measure active cases over a 2-week span, we're in double digits. We had the luxury of a few weeks we're in single digits, which we hadn't seen for months and months. But we're seeing a little lowering of that. We were at 29 on Monday. We're down to 21 today. So we hope those numbers keep moving in that direction. That's a huge indicator to us. We do realize that with the 3-foot distancing, it increases our chances for a larger number of close contacts. We've seen evidence of that. You know, going back to Ms. Demos' point about some of the classrooms and some of their setups, currently we have no issues with the 3-foot setup. However, in our youngest grades, the activity level of the students, they're not sitting in those desks all day long, 6 hours a day. They have to line up to go to lunch. They have to do all these aspects. So it's challenging, and it increases our certain vulnerability to close contacts. Our nurses have done an outstanding job, work extremely hard to do that. They've coupled with the pool testing. We have gotten word from the state that the pool testing has been extended through August free. Great news from the state level. Some of the news we get from the state is not great. That's pretty good news that we'll be able to continue with that pool testing through August. So we just re-upped the application for that yesterday. So we hope to hear back and get confirmation of that. But again, hats off to the nurses who are doing that, all the new cleaning protocols, particularly in the cafeterias. Our custodians have really engineered new cleaning materials, all kinds of aspects. They have really tried new ways of cleaning. We've bought new apparatus. We've used safe cleaning materials. And with the combination of the auxiliary staff that we've been able to bring on with monitors, with additional support staff for custodians, with additional long-term substitutes, we've been able to use a team effort to make sure these areas are cleaned and ready to use. Some of our schools are operating 6 different lunches in one day, and they're able to get all those surfaces cleaned, all that area exchanged out, and bring in new students in really remarkable time frame. So we're very proud of that, but it's very hard work. We've revamped almost all of our arrival and dismissal procedures across the district. We have a higher rate of parent drop-off, particularly at the elementary level, even though we've highly publicized and encouraged the use of the buses. So we've changed traffic patterns at each one of our schools. We've had great help from the Tewksbury Police Department. You'll see signage out there about where you cannot take a left-hand turn. We've brought on details, police details for the first 2 weeks to support us in that. So it has really been a team effort on those pieces. We are at that point where we're developing routines on this. So we're getting better at it each day. We're tweaking these pieces. We're preparing for the high school and the middle school to start on the 28th. We're excited about them starting. We're ready to, go on those pieces. But again, this is like the start of a new school year in many ways, because routines have to be established. There's newness for everybody. But what we're kind of missing is that excitement and anticipation of a new year. This is really in reaction to a lot of the elements from the pandemic, the advisories and guidance that Ms. Regan went over from the state. Those are not going to stop coming. We had a call with the commissioner today. We anticipate there could be 2 or 3 more ones next week. Hopefully they start coming in line with things we can do more rather than limiting things we can do. But we'll continue to look at those pieces. We've got tents at every school, thanks to Mr. Libby. We've purchased new furniture in regards to swapping out some lower grade level furniture so that we could move that furniture into the cafeteria, which is more efficient in the use than cafeteria tables. So there's been a lot of moving parts in these pieces. I can't thank the staff enough, the students enough, the administrators enough, and the parents for their patience and understanding. But this is a piece we will be chasing from now until June 16th. So there's probably not a point on this where we'll be able to rest and look at. We continue to look at staffing issues and seeing where are the opportunities we can bring on more staff. We have 3 students from the high school that participated in the high school senior internship education program through DESE, which is actually a paid internship for high school seniors to come work in the elementary schools, which is just outstanding. We're looking at all opportunities available. We do think we've had great success in the first week and a half, but this is going to require a lot of work, a lot of pivoting, a lot of adjustments. We do have to watch the data and watch the numbers. There could be scenarios where we may have to think about whether it makes sense to be remote for a short period of time if something happens. We were lucky enough, even with the sense of a completely unrelated incident at the high school with where we had to shut off the water, where we had those options wouldn't have been there before to be able to go remote for the day. That would have been a close down the school, no education at that day on the end of the year. So there are some opportunities on here. What we are seeing overall is happy students, engaged students, students who are kind of moving naturally back into that life of being a student, which we're very excited about. We hope to see that continue at the middle school and the high school level, but There's certainly some great things happening here, but this will be a work in progress for the remainder of the year, without a doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Mrs. Demos?
Thank you for that update, Mr. Malone. I can't echo enough how important it was for these kiddos to be back in person, and they are thriving each day. They are very flexible. They're excited to see their friends, I know. And I do just want to put a great shout out there to all the staff in our buildings that are in there every day, day in, day out, really just giving it their all for all the students in Tewksbury, and I'm proud to be part of that community, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Mrs. Demos. Mrs. Garabedian?
I have no questions, but similar to Shannon, thank you for the update, Mr. Malone, and thank you to every single person in our district that is working so hard. It's really appreciated by the students that now have the opportunity to be in school, and I think parents are noticing too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garabedian. Mr. Stadman?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna, reiterate with what Ms. Demos said and Mrs. Garabedian said. I mean, it's obviously keeping the children safe. It takes everyone, every staff member, every custodian, everybody to get this going and keep everyone going in the right direction. And again, keeping the kids safe and keeping them on point and getting over the finish line in June, which is coming fast. So hopefully they'll get, knowing all this hard work that you guys have been through, getting them back to school and then getting them back out the back door. So keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Stadman. And Mr. Parsons?
Just want to reiterate the gratitude that my colleagues have mentioned, especially for our cafeteria workers. Managing 6 different lunches in one day, that is incredible. I also want to thank our custodians and our teachers and other support staff in district. As a teacher myself, I can tell you this is a one-of-a-kind year, and just everyone involved in Tewksbury Public Schools at the end of this should really give themselves a pat on the back. Other than that, I have no new questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. And I'd just like to add, express my gratitude as well. I was lucky enough and fortunate to go to 2 elementary schools in the Ryan the day that we opened up, and to see firsthand the hard work. It's really unexplainable, especially in those situations where multiple lunches were going on. But what was most exciting for me was noise, happy children, happy kids, and most importantly, happy teachers. So on behalf of the committee, I can't thank our staff, teachers, custodians. I think at some point, superintendent and I were wiping tables. We needed to get kids in and out, and there's parent volunteers that are coming in. There's aides that are doing it. There's teachers, secretaries. So it was heartwarming to see that, everyone's committed to making this work and making sure we're doing the right thing. And I just hope over the April vacation that, parents are cognizant of that, and we all want to go and have fun, but let's just, try to be aware and, keep those mitigation strategies, maybe not as strict as they are in the schools, but let's try to keep our kids safe so we can get through the end of the year and hopefully get back into all in person for the following year. Maybe even, God forbid I say it, without having a muzzle on. But that certainly would be something that, if the numbers go down, that certainly I know myself am looking forward to getting to as a place. So with that, we are moving on to our new business. Mrs. Regan?
Yes, and if it pleases the chair, may I take item B out of order and do that first?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So what you have in front of you is the last day of school for the 2021 school year memo. This will require a roll call vote. Tewksbury Public Schools 2020-2021 school calendar included 5 snow days with the anticipated last day of school on June 23rd, 2021. During the 2021 school year, there were no snow days as the district implemented remote learning days on inclement weather days. It is the recommendation of the superintendent for the last day of school to be Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. June 16th is a half day of school adhering to the early release schedule you can see below. And once again, this does require a roll call vote.
Great, pretty self-explanatory. What is the pleasure of the board at this time?
Mr. Chair, could I just ask, make a comment?
Sure. Sorry, yeah, absolutely.
One of our items in the packet referred to the remote learning on these days where we didn't have to have a no school for snow days. And while I totally appreciate that on many different levels, parent, administrator, myself, I do want to strongly encourage the administration to remember too, though, that while not tacking on days at the end of the school year has its benefits, you know, when it's 80, 90 degrees in these classrooms and you're not getting so much high level instruction done, I do think that there is a social emotional level that we're missing by not having any snow days. I think that there are memories to be had in social emotional well-being that we need to take into account too for, you know, these younger kids that, you know, you see the snow and you're going outside, and these are just to me like traditions that not on every occasion, but when it's, you know, a pretty bad storm, I would maybe have us look at one of an early release remote day, right? So they log on in the morning and they have their half day and we can count the day, but they can be done early to go out in the snow or something. I do support remote learning, but I feel like we've had a lot of screen time this year. And I think that going forward next year, it's definitely a good tool to have in our back pocket. But I really strongly feel that, you know, not even the older kids do have their own reasons for wanting, you know, those snow days, but I would hate to take away those opportunities for the younger students in our district to miss out on what a traditional snow day is. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents in that according to the remote days, but I am in support of the June 16th last day of school.
I'll second that motion.
Do we have any other discussion, Mrs. Garabedian?
Point of clarification, Mr.
No
Chairman.
questions.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Malone.
Yeah, just to clarify, the ability to do a remote learning day as opposed to a weather snow day was solely approved through the state for this school year.
Oh,
There has been no approval by the state for that moving forward. They are considering some pieces as they had in the past couple of years with snow bags and other things like that. But the only approval for that at the state level was for this school year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. Any more discussion, Mrs. Garabedian?
No questions. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Parsons.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, I believe, did you make that in the form of a motion, Mrs. Demos, to have Wednesday, June 16, 2021 as our official last day of school that will include an early release?
So moved.
And I think we had a second from Mr. Stadman. Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. The last day of school officially this year will be Wednesday, June 16th, 2021, and it will follow an early release schedule day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then I'll go back up to item A, and that is after you have voted and approved which you have already done, the 2021-2022 school calendar, what we then do is go and break that school year up into 4 quarters. So you have what we refer to as our register periods for next school year. You can see that we do pad term 2 and term 3 with some extra days based on the potential inclement weather. And then the required 5 snow days are added to term 4. This is informational only and does not require a vote.
Okay, just checking in with my colleagues. Any questions or comments, Mrs. Demos?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Mrs. Garabedian?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Stadman?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and Mr. Parsons?
No questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Moving along to, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Malone for school choice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Annually, we do take, as a committee, the vote on the school choice. Traditionally, here in Tewksbury, we have not voted in school choice. Specifically, lately, we have not done this specific to the construction of the new elementary school building and the uncertainty of some of those enrollment pieces and adding that on long term. I would recommend to the committee that they continue to not vote in school choice at this time. But again, that would be up to the committee.
Okay, we'll start with Mrs. Demos. Any,
I second what Mr. Malone had mentioned for reasons, and because of that, those reasons of so many moving parts in our district with the new elementary school building project, and being in the middle of this hopefully coming out of this pandemic, I would recommend no school choice this year.
thank you. Mrs. Garabedian?
I concur.
Mr. Stadman?
I'm going to go with my constituents.
And Mr. Parsons?
I'm also going to go with my constituents.
Okay, with that, what is the pleasure of the board at this time?
I'll make the motion that we vote to not participate in the school choice program.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second not to participate in school choice. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. And the last item on the new business is the 2022 Tewksbury School Committee meeting schedule draft. This is a first draft. I assume this is just for our review tonight, Mr. Malone?
Yes, and what we've done is done the traditional rotation in through the calendar year 2022, plugged in some of those elements like the town meetings and the budget hearings and those pieces. We've tried to get this schedule out early. We tend to try to make sure that any of our district or school-based scheduling moving forward holds these dates in reserve, so to make sure that things aren't scheduled in conjunction with these dates. So the earlier sometimes we can push these out, it helps the district and the schools plan some of those other things. But also there's opportunities. We've had a special special school committee meeting within the past month. There has been instances over the past couple of years where we've had to reschedule a meeting because of a particular issue. But typically that following that rotating Wednesday monthly meeting is usually something that if we can get that established early on, a lot of the other planning can go around it.
Okay. Well, having some new members, I would encourage them to take a good look at this. It's nothing we'll vote on this evening. If you're going on vacation or have something absolutely that we can't make, we'll try to make accommodations for that. But certainly we can do that offline and bring this forward back at the following meeting in May. Okay. And with that, unless I'm sorry, I'll check in with Mrs. Demos. Do you have any issues right now that you may know be a possible conflict or that you should stay away from?
Yeah, no, none of the dates that are listed here are a conflict with me.
Okay. And I'm not holding you to it. I just wanted to check in before we put it off till the next. Mr. Stadman?
I can't comment at this point, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I don't have any.
Social calendar doesn't go out till December 7th of 2022, so I'm still booking next weekend. So
fair enough. I don't have anything, and Mr. Parsons, anything that jumps out at you this evening?
Nothing that I can see right now.
Okay, and Mrs. Garabedian?
Looks good to me. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a look, and like I said, we'll bring it back up at the following meeting. At least you'll have some time to take a deeper dive into it, so. With that, I'm gonna move on to school committee matters of interest, and I'll start with our vice chair, Mrs. Demos.
No, I had shared my questions and matters of interest earlier in the meeting with Ms. Regan, so I'm all set for now.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Garabedian, our clerk.
Nothing at this time.
Great, Mr. Stadman.
Just another shout out to Ocean State Job Lot for their tremendous gift for PPE. Also looking forward to seeing kiddos at the NHS tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Demos, and Mr. Parsons.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, and once again, a thank you to all of our staff that have been in through the K through 6, making that work and bringing joy and hopefully a better educational experience to our students. Matter of business for my colleagues, we do have some committees. We have a special education pack, a district security team, a policy review team, and a wellness committee. So please, in the next couple of days, give some of that some thought. Technically, it's a duty of the chair, but we try to find, I know that's how I was taught by the fellow chair, to solicit input, and we'll try to fit people where they think might be a good fit, not only for them, but for the community. And then it looks like we're probably also going to have to, as a committee, fill a vacancy on the elementary school building project. So I know Shannon's already on that. If anyone has any interest, please let me know, as well as the task force. Both of the outgoing members that we had on the task force were Mr. Wilson and Mr. Cutlass. Fortunately, we had Mrs. Garabedian on there, so we'd like to, obviously, I think it only makes sense to retain her to continue in that role. But if we would like to appoint someone else, we can give that some thought as well as a committee and as a team. So with that, our future school committee and future subcommittee meeting dates are May 12th, 2021, June 9th, 2021, and July 21st, 2021. And with that, I'll move to any future agenda items, and I'll start with Mrs. Demos.
I have nothing tonight.
Thank you. Mrs. Garabedian?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Stadman?
I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Parsons?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for those watching at home, if you do have something that you would like to see put on the agenda, please feel free to contact myself or any of my colleagues or Mr. Malone or Assistant Superintendent Regan. All right, thank you. At this time, I'll check in one more time with Jason. Sorry. Jason, is anyone on the line? I'm assuming not, because I didn't get a chat from you.
That's correct. No calls, Mr. Chairman.
Great. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:59 p.m. Mrs. Demos, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Garabedian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Stadman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Thank you for tuning in this evening, and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.